Welcome to this summer's podcast series that I call Fierce Gentleness. This is a series on character development with an eye towards awakening to your true nature. Why am I doing these talks? Well, there seems to be a lack of a moral compass in this world today. Perhaps it's driven by our capitalistic society. But we seem to measure what it is to be successful in this life based on what we have materially and how much power we may hold in society. Well, I contend that that is a false premise. To have great wealth, to have unlimited or unchecked power requires scarcity. If we were all billionaires, our money would have no value. If we all had unlimited power, we would be without any power whatsoever. I say this is a false premise because that's not how things actually are in our world. Our world is built by all of us. Our world is interconnected. Each one of us doing what we do, and somehow all of it working together. Each of us contributing in our own way. Each contribution is just as significant as the other. The world holds up these ultra wealthy and unlimited power people. Their wealth would not exist without our cooperation. That's why I say it's a false premise. We play into the game. And in fact, we are getting played. I was speaking today with a young man, and unprovoked, he brought up this very issue. He asked, why do we hold up such poor individuals as markers of who we're supposed to be? Well, these talks are about that journey. To be the light that you are looking for. To challenge every notion, every thought, idea, belief that you have ever been told. To look deeply at the way things actually are. To question everything. To be your own light. This fourth episode is called Walk with Courage. So let's talk about what is courage. Courage is not the absence of fear, but the willingness to walk forward in spite of it. Courage is not a trait reserved for warriors. It is a steady determination to stand in the face of what is uncertain, what is painful, what is unknown. To walk with courage is to act from the deepest part of yourself, not from fear of failure or rejection, but from trust in what is true. Now, we're not talking about your truth or your community's truth, but the truth of reality. It is a refusal to shrink when life challenges you. It is to bend when the winds of doubt blow strong. Fear is always present. It's not something to eliminate, but something to face. To recognize as a companion on the path. Courage doesn't pretend that fear does not exist. It says, I see you and I will walk with you anyway. It is not the absence of hesitation, but the willingness to act despite it. We are not born with courage. It is a muscle built over time, forged in the quiet moments of decision. The moment you speak your truth, the moment you set a boundary, the moment you choose not to turn away from the hard path. Eleanor Roosevelt once said, you gain strength, courage, and confidence by every experience in which you really stop to look fear in the face. So courage is not loud. It does not demand attention. It is a quiet persistence to show up, even when you'd rather hide. It is a choice to rise after you've fallen, to continue when you've been broken, to walk toward what you fear instead of running from it. Sometimes courage looks like getting out of bed. Sometimes it's as simple as saying no. Sometimes it's simply staying open when everything in you wants to close. How do we practice this? Face something that scares you today. A conversation, a choice, a decision. Don't wait for fear to leave. Walk forward with it. Let your courage guide you in small, consistent acts. Speak up when you would usually remain silent. Stand when you'd rather sit. Take a step before you're ready. You don't have to be sure, you just have to move. And when you feel that fear creep back in, greet it. It is not your enemy, it is part of your aliveness. Pema Chodron once said that fear is a natural reaction to moving closer to the truth. What are some common mistakes that we may make with developing this character trait? Well, the ego often mistakes courage for arrogance. It is not courage when you seek to overpower or to dominate the moment, to puff yourself up in the face of others. True courage is quiet. It doesn't seek to prove anything. It simply moves. Be mindful of the impulse to appear brave while masking doubt with bravado. True courage rests in authenticity, not performance. I'll say that again. True courage rests in authenticity, not performance. An insight: courage is not the absence of fear, but the decision to act from what is unshakable, even when the ground beneath you trembles. Now, how can we put this into practice? How can we develop this? We call this embodied practice. Locate the fear. So, how do you locate fear? You sit quietly. Recall something that brings hesitation or fear, something real, not overwhelming, not at least initially. Now ask, where do I feel this in my body? Is this a tightness in the belly, a flutter in the chest, a tension in the throat? Now place your hand on that area, not to fix it, but to stay with it. Let your body feel and say, I'm not abandoning you. And meet with your breath. Breathe into that sensation, not to make it go away, but to create a space around it. Inhale, say, I see you. When you exhale, say, we're doing this together. You and the breath and the sensation. Let each breath remind your nervous system. Fear is not a stop sign. It's a signal to come closer, not to collapse. If you're up, take a step forward. Just one. Feel your feet touch the ground. In each step, say internally, this is courage. I'm moving anyway. I am not waiting to be fearless. I'm not waiting to be fearless. If you're indoors, pace slowly. If you're outdoors, walk with this inner rhythm. Let your movement be a declaration. I'm not defined by hesitation. Your daily grit, choose a small act today that you've been avoiding. Name it, face it, and do it slowly. Courage lives in those micro acts. It's not dramatic, it's not heroic, it's just real. When fear arises, pause. Place a hand on the body, breathe with it. Whisper, I don't need to be ready, I just need to be honest. Choose action, not to prove anything, but stay aligned with what's deeper than fear. Now, a reminder, courage feels like trembling knees with a steady breath. It's not loud, it's not showy, it's simply a choice not to turn away. Now let's talk about this and what is the essence of courage from a character development standpoint. Courage is the willingness to walk into the unknown without turning away from truth. It is not bravado. It is steady commitment to stay open, clear, and undefended even when fear arises. True courage is quiet, unwavering presence. What are some false versions of this? Ego imagines courage as domination or conquest, rushing into battle to prove something, or it shrinks from discomfort and calls it discernment. It confuses risk-taking with depth and collapses when things don't go its way. How do we go from a self-centeredness to no self? When we act from what we think is courage, and we look around to see who's watching us, or we take notes and we pat ourselves on the back. Wow, gee, I'm just courageous. That is self centeredness. When the self falls away, there's no fear or loss because there's no one to lose. What remains is fearless openness, not because it seeks danger, but because it is no longer clings to safety. And what kind of safety are we talking about? Well, the safety of your community, your belief system, your family, whatever, those kind of things that you build the self narrative around and you just go along. Courage is to call something out when it's wrong, to step back from the crowd. You could be alone in your decision. Numbers do not make morality. What you feel in your gut, you know to be true. Courage is timeless. You read a story of someone in a faraway land that you don't even know. It could even be a fictional tale. You know what courage is. But do you know what their religion is? Do you know what their political party is? Do you know what their belief system is? No. But what you know, what you recognize, is truth. Courage becomes a natural walk of truth to form. Walking with courage means not abandoning the real. It may look like speaking up, stepping out, or standing alone, or it may be staying still while the winds of change howl. Either way, it doesn't retreat from what is because what it is home. And again, I want to go back to the way things actually are. The way things actually are from a Buddhist standpoint, if we want to call it a Buddhist standpoint, but they don't own it altogether, is how things work in the world, how things are without you and your ideas, without your larger you, which is your community or your political party, religion, whatever, the things that you identify with, and you all agree that this is true. That doesn't mean it's true. That just means that's an agreed upon narrative. But narrative is not true. What is true is how things are without that narrative. Courage is the ability to stand by that, unwavering. Courage is not the absence of fear, it is a refusal to leave the moment unloved. Thank you.